All right, it is day two of the New York Comic Con. We're here at the Comixology booth in the back of the show floor, and I'm with Neil Kleid, who is a writer for Comixology. He has done The Night's Jewish Boys, and he is currently working on Medieval. Um, so before we get talking about your books, tell us a little bit about yourself as a creator and a comic book reader.
Sure. Thanks. So I've been I've been reading comics since I was a kid. My dad used to come home every Friday afternoon with a bag of superhero comics, Marvel, DCs, whatever he got off the rack at a bookstore. He would throw them at my brother and I and say, "Leave me alone." And we'd read comics, and we amassed a collection. I started as a superhero reader, but as I got older, I realized comics could be about anything for anyone, and so I started to kind of like spread my wings and read a lot of war comics or romance comics, like the life, and that's where I've made sort of my bread and butter. Most of the stuff that I've written has been creator-owned books. I've done a book about the Jewish Mafia. I've done a lot of slice of life, grounded dramatic work. I adapted Call of the Wild into a graphic novel.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I'll have to check that out.
That was actually kind of fun.
I love seeing, like, sorry to get off topic, but
No,
somebody actually put out a Lord of the Flies adaptation for the first time, and it's really nice.
Oh, really? You know what that is?
Penguin Random House.
Nice. So it was with, I believe, a division of Penguin at the time, and with iBooks. iBooks isn't around anymore, but they were doing a lot of like really directed towards like YA adaptations. And so Alex Nino and I got to do Call of the Wild. That was actually a lot of fun. But lately I've been doing for Comixology these creator-owned books. I did a book called The Panic with Andre Muti. It's a book about a group of New Yorkers who get caught in a subway beneath the Hudson River and have to like fight their way out. Really kind of a thriller. It was a lot of fun. Dark Horse put that out as a collection. It's available now. I did a book called Nice Jewish Boys with Comixology. I'm going to hold that up to the camera. Boom. That is, I'm a very vocal Orthodox Jewish comic book creator. Jewish representation in comics and original stories. Jewish stories are important to me. And so for Nice Jewish Boys, we did a book that's set in a mono-Orthodox community. It's about a guy like me who gets, who's a writer, but gets caught in some financial situations trying to help his family and ends up kind of accidentally getting into a life of crime. It's very Breaking Bad meets Jewish community, a little bit of Sopranos in it because it's set in New Jersey. And it's really it's a very emotional book. It's very sort of family. It's about crime. It's about ethics. And we put that out last year with John Broglia and Ellie Wright. She colored it. And now I'm doing a book called Medieval. And while The Panic and Nice Jewish Boys were very emotionally draining, because they're very dramatic books, Medieval is probably the complete opposite of that. It's a bombastic, cathartic, violent book. It's inspired by Mark Twain's Connecticut Yankee and King Arthur Court, which is about a capitalist in the 1800s who kind of gets time lost in Camelot and brings modernism to King Arthur. And so my book is about a New York baseball fan who's decidedly not capitalist, knows enough to be dangerous, who gets sort of sent back to King Arthur's time and really kind of have to deal with being trapped in Camelot. It's a bit of a love story. It's, like I said, it's very, very mature readers. There's a lot of cursing. There's a lot of blood. It's drawn by the inimitable Alex Cormack, my co-author, who did The Devil Wears My Face for Mad Cape and Drive Like Hell for Dark Horse. And his work is bloody and gruesome, but also like very disquieting, which is kind of nice for like a book set in Camelot. And if you buy this book for anything, buy it for the art.
So, what is it about the Comixology and the Comixology format that appeals to you as a creator, if there is one?
Yeah, no, I love the immediacy of it, right? Sometimes when you write a comic book, especially a printed comic, you put out issue by issue. It takes a while to kind of do, and then you kind of have to wait for it to hit shelves. And then, like, I mean, I'm a capitalist myself, so I want my comics to make money, right? And when you sometimes put out like a printed 22-page comic that you paid to have printed, you may not make a return on your investment after the first issue. Right? Every issue beyond kind of may not do as well with Comixology for putting them out digitally. They're more immediate. Get them like right away on the Kindle. The price is reasonable. If you're a Prime member, I believe they're free. And then, we sometimes put out a printed edition as like a collection, which is nice. I like the fact that kids today, my kids especially, like are always on their phone, right? They're on their mobile devices, and Comixology, like a lot of digital comics, tries to meet those readers where they live.
Yep.
I think it's a great new distribution. I mean, it's not new; it's been around for a while, right? But it's a great distribution method for comic books, and I think that you're going to see more and more digital comics, whether they're done like Comixology, sometimes full pages that are broken up by guided flow versus the vertical scroll. Like that's the way of the future, right? And so, as a creator, I want to try to approach all of those distribution models and methods and see what I can do with them.
So you kind of mentioned that the medieval is more of a cathartic. Have you, throughout your career, these your other books, how do you feel you've grown as a writer? Have you learned something from those books that you maybe were able to apply to your latest?
Yeah, I mean, I think you learn something from every book you write, right? Everything you write, you kind of look and say, like, oh, what did I do here that I could do better the next time? Whether it's adapting, coming up with new dialogue, different ways to plot, even just like how you work with an artist to structure a page, right? With medieval, because it's kind of out of my wheelhouse. Like if you read a lot of Neil Kleid books tend to be, if people say like what a Neil Kleid book is, it's very emotionally driven, it's very dramatic, it's very grounded. This one is none of those things. So for me, the big swing alone was enough for me to kind of say like I'm going to try something that I've really never done before. I wouldn't call it like a genre book, but it's also kind of a genre book. Yeah. With this one, it was really about also like making sure that the work, like if you read some of my other books, like Brownsville was one of my first graphic novels. It's about the Jewish mafia in the 1930s. Very heavily researched. We spent a lot of time looking at photos and looking at reference material. Which is about a year to research that book. This one, I basically said, don't get caught up in the research. Like I could spend years like reading about Camelot, the 6th century, and the Dark Age, And if you read when you read the book, and can read the book, November 11th, first issue comes out. The title of the first issue is called Just Enough to Be Dangerous, which really is about our hero Danny Landau, who's a Jewish plumber, who knows enough about like plumbing and baseball, but maybe doesn't know enough about 6th century England. And so he knows just enough about King Arthur to be dangerous. I sort of adopted that as my own mentality, right? Like, don't get caught up in like the mythology, right? Just kind of like it's surface level. It's about the characters. It's about like the emotions. It's about the relationships. And so that's how I approach this one. It's like freeing myself from that research.
Is there anything else that you'd like to mention at this time?
No, I mean, issue number 1 comes out November 11th. You can go to Amazon and purchase the book there. Pre-order it now, and then download it on your Kindle device, your Kindle app on your mobile device when it comes out. You can also go to neilkleidbooks.com. There's a web page there for Medieval, and there's a direct link to the book. So if you want to pre-order it, check it out. I hope people read it again, even just for the art, which is fantastic.
Again, I'd like to thank you for taking the time out of your busy Comic-Con day to chat with us, and perhaps whenever you have something else or you want to do a more long-form interview, we'd love to have you come on the show and
sure. I'd love to talk about myself. So
talk about yourself, or just shoot the crap with us.
Yeah, let's talk about like barbecue. Thanks so much for
all right. Well, thank you very much.
Enjoy
the rest of your show.
All right. Got it this time.